Welcome to Elite Expert Insider Podcast, where we will inspire, motivate, and educate entrepreneurs, innovators, and growth seekers. Brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, making the best and brightest in the industry #1 best-selling authors. 80% of people say they want to write a book. We're assuming that's the same for you. If so, contact us at www.eliteonlinepublishing.com and make your book a reality. Hey, how you doing? It's Melanie Johnson here with Jen Foster at the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. How you doing today, Jen?
It's a great day.
It is. And you know why it's so great? Because we have Jay Lucas here, who is the author of American Sunshine. We are very proud of this book. We were the publisher, just FYI. And he wrote this incredible book that we're going to talk about. And you're going to get some insight onto millennials, abundance, onto modern patriotism, all kinds of really cool stuff. And plus, he has this initiative that you're really going to want to learn about. But first, we want to remind you to subscribe to the podcast because we have such cool people like Jay Lucas on our podcast. And then you will know ahead of time who's coming on and what you're going to learn. So make sure you subscribe so you get the alerts. And we'd love to hear from you as well. And of course, if you are looking to publish a book, we own Elite Online Publishing, and we would love to make you a best-selling author just like we did Jay Lucas. We'll talk about that a little bit too. And we want to tell you we've got these great planners out. You know, it's so hard to keep track of everything and setting your goals. One of the best ways to succeed in life is to make sure you set your goals and write them down every day. So we've got this Design Your Goals and Dreams Success Daily Planner. Design Your Goals and Dreams Success Daily Planner by Elite Online Publishing. So look it up on Amazon. I think you'll love it and you'll be more productive and more successful and achieve your dreams. All right, we're getting to it now. Jay, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us today, the author of American Sunshine, Rays of Hope and Opportunity. How you doing, Jay?
Hey, hello, Jen. Hello, Melanie. How are you both today?
We're doing great. Well, start us off, Jay, with telling us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure, I'd love to do that. And first, I'd also like to say just how great it has been to be working with Elite Publishing in the journey of developing this book. It's just been a great exercise. For me, it's been a great opportunity, though, also to articulate what I really believe. And writing this book, American Sunshine, has allowed me to do that. I think it's a book that is from the heart, but it's also a book that is, the backdrop, the title American Sunshine really is all about, our political system has been so divisive and so bitter over the last number of years. And American Sunshine is all about trying to rise above that and to take a positive view of what American politics, what America can really be if we stick true to some of all of our traditional values but do so in a very positive, optimistic way, looking toward the future. That's the core of the book. But I must say, there's also a part of it which is a dimension all about the power of the human spirit. It's a little bit of a spiritual book, and that makes it really special for me. And when I say the power of the human spirit, it's also about the power of belief. That if you really believe in something and you believe it firmly and you act upon it, there are miraculous things that we can achieve. So those are the two major elements of the book. I think there's one other piece too that I think is kind of fun. It's a fun book, and it's particularly fun because we have 28 chapters in the book, and very importantly, we have a cartoonist, an illustrator. So each chapter has its own cartoon. So it's a really fun book to dip into and read, and one that I'm really happy to have been able to accomplish.
And I love those cartoons. They are so cute. I'm going to pull one up for those of you that are watching on video. You can see the cartoon there. Isn't that cool? I mean, there's a bunch of them in here, and they're just so funny, and they really bring some enlightenment to it. So I want to touch on that. I've had the pleasure to spend a lot of time, Jen and I both have spent a lot of time with Jay, and I flew to New York and got to spend more time with him and talk about the book. So, Jay is Jay, you're such a positive person. So talk a little bit, you've got a couple chapters in the book about really like abundance versus being a victim. Kind of tell us a little bit more about that in your philosophy.
Yeah, my philosophy is the chapter on abundance has a great cartoon at the beginning, which is largely about, do you look at the glass half full or do you look at the glass half empty? And my view has always been that what you see and what your basic belief systems are going to attract to you the reality, the future that you're envisioning. So those of us who have an abundance mentality, it's just really great. We're looking at the world and we're finding great opportunities out there, and you've got almost like a lens that allows you to see those opportunities. And for the other people who don't have that abundance mentality, they have scarcity, but as you were just saying, Melanie, to some extent, you find them having a victim mentality, that the world is happening to them, and in a bad way. But where I start from is that if you have some core beliefs, you have a purpose-driven approach toward life, the tendency to see opportunities, it's just a really exciting, optimistic place to be.
That's great. I know I always like to see the glass half full for sure. Tell us a little bit, Jay, about the boiling a frog. And I love this cartoon. I don't know if you guys can what does that mean, boiling a frog? I mean, most people say eat the frog. What is boiling the frog?
Not for those who haven't heard this expression before, boiling a frog really relates to this phenomena. If you put a frog, now imagine this, if you're putting a frog in a pan of water, and the pan of water, let's say, is lukewarm. Gradually, you turn up the temperature 1 degree at a time, and another degree, the frog gets warmer and toastier and feeling pretty good. At some point, if you go far enough, that water is going to turn to a boil. And during that whole period of time, the frog never has that moment to realize that the water is getting so warm and eventually so hot and boiling that it's probably going to kill him. So boiling a frog, we use that analogy, and essentially, now let me contrast that to if you threw a frog into a pot of boiling water, a different situation. You can imagine that frog's going to jump out of there like in a half a second. Well, I use that analogy and compare it to what's happening to us, I believe, in America, where our bureaucracy day by day creates more regulations, and essentially they have what would be considered a full-time job to develop regulations, different kinds of controls that are going to impede and create obstacles in our lives. And we as citizens, well, we've got our daily lives. Our daily lives are around taking our kids to soccer practice, going to work, doing all the kinds of things that we do every day. And it's virtually impossible for us to be vigilant and guarantee and safeguard our freedoms. So I use this analogy of boiling. In this analogy, we are the frogs, and if we're not careful, we're the frogs that are going to be in this eventually boiling water. So it's time for us to stand up and make sure that we jump out of that pot of water.
And I love that analogy because it's like different regulations and different things are happening to us a little bit at a time, and we may not notice, or we adjust. Okay, well, this happens, so we're just going to adjust a little bit and adjust a little more versus that big slap on the hand.
We're a very forgiving people. We're a very tolerant people. We're a wonderful nation, and I think, are able to, like you said, Melanie, adjust, and we put up with a lot. But at some point, you just have to say enough is enough and rise up and say, what really makes America so great are the freedoms that we have here in the United States that just really don't exist anywhere else. And the more and more we get governmental regulation, government control, impeding at the margins on our freedoms, the less free, obviously, we are, and the less able we are to fulfill our mission and goals in life and live the free lives that we are meant to enjoy here. So you're absolutely right.
And you address some of that. That kind of segues me into the part of the book that you talk about modern patriotism and what it is to be a modern patriot.
Yeah, this is a concept that is developed in the book. I really believe that the traditional American values of patriotism are at the core of what make us so special. And you can, as you think about some of those values, they're values like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the ability to own property, to have property rights that are protected in a nation of laws through our judicial system. All of those things are at the core of being an American and defending our country. That's also at the core of being an American. what I do in this concept of modern patriotism, it's got three elements to it. So modern patriotism is number one, it's all about believing that you can achieve, and having the power of that human spirit that we talked about that's driving you. But secondly, it's achieving. So it's believing, it's achieving. I think there's not only an opportunity for all of us to achieve, but also basically a responsibility that we've been given these talents, given these opportunities. We need to go out there and achieve. And that's one of the most important things we can do to help other people, is to take our own lives and to fulfill all of our own potential. And thirdly, after believing and achieving, there's a responsibility to share. So it's all about sharing, believing, achieving, and sharing. Once having achieved, then there is both, again, that opportunity, but also the responsibility to share with others. And once having achieved, then you have the material capability to share with others, but I think you also have the experience of knowing what it is to achieve. And I think the most important thing that you can share with others is giving them the ability to provide for themselves, to develop a certain independent will, a self-reliance, because there really is nothing as satisfying as what I call earned success. In other words, how can you feel better than when you go out there and you actually do something, you set your mind on doing something, you achieve it? That's earned success. That's so much better than somebody giving you something that you know that you don't deserve, you didn't earn, and so the earned success. So modern patriotism, again, it's about believing, then achieving, and then sharing. That's modern patriotism.
That's wonderful. And I think that we can all adopt that attitude and do those steps in the order that you said. I think that's great. So tell us a little bit about your chapter about millennials. So everyone's always talking about the millennials, so let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I've got a very optimistic, positive view of millennials. And now, first of all, I want to let everyone know that I'm very qualified. I'm highly qualified to speak on this topic because my wife and I, we have 7 children, all of whom are millennials. The youngest is 23. The oldest just turned 29 yesterday. Happy birthday, Lincoln. It's just a wonderful set of age groups to be knowing. Millennials do, as you mentioned, Jen, they do come in for some criticism. And the criticism, I think, is unwarranted, but I think we all know some of those elements of the criticism. People will say this is an entitled generation, that I think that the term that's often used, they're snowflakes, they're precious little snowflakes, that everything has been done for them, that they think the world owes them something. And some would say they're not hard workers and don't have that work ethic. But in my direct experience, I have found just the opposite to be true, that this is an incredible generation. And by the way, I think maybe you can identify with this thought. I think virtually every generation that comes up is criticized by the older generation. I don't know if I can see you smiling and thinking about this in your own experience and thinking about maybe growing up and maybe whether you're baby boomers or whatever generation you might be, yuppies, basically the same criticisms seem to be coming up. I imagine the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans had these same criticisms as well. But millennials, I find, actually are embracing the world in a really interesting and dynamic way. The work approach is different, I will say that, but it's no less intense. And I think it's admirable. I don't know how many millennials I've seen who are working one job and then are also thinking about starting a business. They're extraordinarily entrepreneurial generation, which I think is, just a marvelous attribute. So they're working hard and doing these things. And there's another element to them, which basically is very consistent with this notion of modern patriotism. There is a sharing mentality that's really part of the ethos of this generation, so that they really embrace this idea of giving back, to sharing with the less fortunate. So I'm the person who says, hey, let's give these millennials a break. Come on, it's a great generation, and thankfully it's a generation that's grown up with digital mobile technology, and by embracing that, they're going to be the generation that really takes us into the future. And I'm putting a lot of my faith in the millennial generation, and I encourage. I encourage other people to do the same, but also to really get to know them and get past these stereotypes.
I agree 100%. I think that thing about all the generations that you said that we were all smiling about, well, you know, the technology changes, and, you know, you had the industrial revolution, you've got the computer revolution, and we're all like, well, I remember we used to play outside. We want the same thing for our kids that we had, but you really can't, because there's new technologies and new things out there that they're exploring and using. And so it's not going to be the same. It's new. But you made such a good point. I want to address a couple things. So you say that really the millennials, you're finding that they are patriotic, that they are having a sense of patriotism. And I love that you say that, that they are sharing. And so give us some examples of how you feel like they're being patriotic that you've seen. And then the other thing is, I know you have a great platform for sharing an initiative of giving back. And I want you to talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Well, in terms of patriotism in this generation, I see it broadly across the spectrum. I see it in my own family, actually. And something I'm really proud of is my son, Lincoln, who is the oldest of our children. Very proud of him in so many ways, but I think he represents the millennial generation in just such a favorable light. Now, here's a young man who successfully was on a track at Yale University, graduated from Yale with a degree in economics. And for sure, I thought he was headed to Wall Street, certainly had all the opportunities. But one day he came to me and he said, you know, Dad, what I really want to do is fly jets for the US Navy. And so what an admirable ambition. And it really wasn't, it took a lot of struggle on his part. He went through officer training school. He went to Pensacola, earned his wings. And now I'm very proud to say he is a lieutenant in the US Navy. He's flying the F-18, also known as the Super Hornet. And now how can you be more proud than that? But I think Lincoln is really representative of this generation. Going to his the winging ceremony in the Navy is for an aviator is just a major moment. It's a major achievement. And going to Lincoln's winging ceremony down in Pensacola, Florida, with a number of other young men and women who were getting their wings on that same day was a touching experience. But it was also a reassuring weekend and experience, meeting the other young men and women of that generation who were so dedicated, meeting their families as well, who are true patriots. It really makes you almost emotional as you think about just how patriotic that group is, and it makes you really feel so confident about the future of America. And Melanie, you asked about my charity that I'm deeply involved in, but it's a wonderful cause. And it's known as Children of Fallen Patriots. But Children of Fallen Patriots, essentially our mission is to take care of any child who loses a parent in active military service. And what we do is we take care of their education. We pay for it all the way through college or a vocational school or whatever's going to make that child successful. And by the way, it not only relates to people who have lost their lives in actual combat situations, but also in training accidents and suicide, and whatever's going to whatever happens, it really makes no difference from the child's perspective. That child is someone who we really need to make sure we take care of. At this point, we have taken care of over 950 kids. Wow. And when you meet these kids and families, it's amazing. Just really outstanding young men and women. Your heart goes out. You really want to do everything you possibly can for them. And one of the things I'm just so proud of is that of all the dollars that we raise for Children of Fallen Patriots, 98 cents on the dollar goes literally to the kids and their education. So it's just a wonderful cause. And if people want to learn more about that, they can simply go to fallenpatriots.org. And you can learn about the great work that this organization is doing.
That's great.
Really cool.
That's great. Well, we'll put that link up there at the bottom. Where else can they find you, Jay, to get more information about you?
The easiest place to go is www.jaylucas.us. So it's JAY Lucas, LUCAS.US, and you can find information there about American Sunshine, the book I really, really like. And thank you for all your help in getting it together for me. And you can go on the web and find out more about me and some of the causes that I really care about. But it's really American Sunshine and that modern patriotism and the can-do attitude, positive, optimistic approach that really is what we're trying, that's at my core beliefs and what I tried to express in the book.
Love it. Here it is again, American Sunshine, Rays of Hope and Opportunity. What a great cover. I love it with the flag on it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful book. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to be inspired. You're going to be motivated, uplifted. And the cartoons, it's so easy to read with those little sketches in there. It's a really fast, easy-paced book. Don't you think?
I had one person who said, or many people who said, if you love dogs, the first chapter is about dogs, and it's a positive one, a dog lovers chapter. And we got one on sports, and we've got one on millennials, as you mentioned. It's a fun book and hopefully a good read. But thank you very much for having me on this podcast.
All right, so remember to subscribe to the podcast. We want to hear from you. Leave us a note. And if you'd like to get a book written and be an author, a best-selling author, because all of our authors, we've made #1 bestsellers on Amazon, contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. And if you're looking for something to write your goals in and be more productive every day, Design Your Goals and Dreams Success Planner. Design Your Goals and Dreams Success Planner by Elite Online Publishing. So we can't wait to see you next time. We always bring you the best interviews with really cool people that make your life better. We want to have you be inspired, motivated, and educated every time that you come and listen to us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
If you'd like to create the most powerful advertising tool for your business, contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com, where we will help you create, publish, and make your book a #1 bestseller and show you how to get new leads and more revenue for your business. If you'd like to check us out on our Facebook page, we have a free book for you as our gift. Just go and click free book. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment for our podcast. We would love to hear from you.